Chapter 7, Part 3. So, what are some of the correlates of foraging? Band organization is typical of foraging societies because its flexibility allows for seasonal adjustments in band size and work strategies. For example, bands would come together and then would come apart. For example, among the Bushmen of the Kalahari Desert, the bands would come together during the wet season and then break apart temporarily during the dry season to search for food and animals. Members of foraging Now, we also have fictive kin in our own culture. And take a moment to think of what examples of this you can think of. One example is the godparent fictive kin that we have, godparent, goddaughter. Also, sometimes we have that uncle who our dad grew up with since they were boys, and we call him uncle, but he's not necessarily related to us, right? So, example of fictive kin in our own culture. Foraging groups tend to be egalitarian. In other words, more or less equal. Now, we see less inequality among foraging groups than we do in other groups. And that's going to be one of the themes of the next chapter as well. Men typically hunt and fish, women gather and collect. All foragers make social distinctions based on age. So the minor distinctions that are made among foragers have to do with how old you are and your gender as well. And like I said, they make only minor distinctions in status compared to other societal types. So foragers, or hunters and gatherers as they are called as well, of recent times, what are some of the aspects that they share? They are fully or semi-nomadic. They live in small communities, have low population densities, don't have specialized political officials like mayor or governor, little differences in wealth. We don't see rich and poor. Are economically specialized only by age and gender, so the kind of work that you did, the tasks and chores that were assigned to you, depended on how old you were and your gender. And usually divide labor by gender, with women gathering wild plants and men fishing and almost always doing the hunting. Okay, cultivation. Adaptive strategies based on food production. That's what I'm going to turn to now. Horticulture. The two types of plant cultivation in non-industrial societies are horticulture and agriculture. Horticulture is based on the use of simple tools and the cyclical, non-continuous use of croplands. So the field is not permanently cultivated. And we see that some of the strategies used, horticulture often involves slash and burn cultivation techniques, and is also known. This is also known as shifting cultivation, which emphasizes the movement of cultivation from plot to plot. So, where you grow food, the plot of land where you grow food will not be the same one forever and ever. You'll move around and grow food on different plots, one at a time. An example of this is Chenna cultivation among the Waniyala Aeto in Sri Lanka, and that's that little red area right there, that's Sri Lanka in the Indian Ocean. Now, Chenna cultivation is regarded as the oldest form of cultivation in Sri Lanka, going back as far as 5,000 years ago in Sri Lankan history. Chenna cultivation was a traditional practice, and indigenous Sri Lankans made sure that the environment was unharmed in the process. So horticulture involves working with the environment, not against it. So the forest plots were cleared for 1 or 2 years and then left to rest for 7 or 8 years. These plots looked untidy, with a multitude of different plants coexisting rather than neat beds of specific crops. This diversity was really important to both their ecological value and their economic importance of the Waniyala Aeto. So the plots were left to rest for 7 or 8 years, and then they returned to that plot, right? And then cleared it again, slash and burn, and grew food on it for 2 years, and then left it alone for another 7 and 8. So these plots, as they grew, they didn't look neat like in agriculture, but the benefits of this is that you had different types of food being grown on these plots, and also the forest grew back on these in these areas, and the Waniyalaeto hunted in these woods and used the wood as well for other things like burning wood for fire. So there was a rationale going on in all of this.